What is up everyone, Ethan here from the Pixel Era Productions, introducing a brand new Elder Scrolls lore series to the channel. In this series, we will be trying to determine which of the 9 divines, yes, including Talos, is the most powerful. Each divine will have a video dedicated to proving that they are the most powerful. If all goes well, we should have a video at the end where we look back and decide which argument was the strongest and which argument was the weakest, ranking the divines from least powerful to most powerful. One of the things that will really make this series come alive is your discussions down in the comments, so feel free to agree or disagree with me on anything. This is in many ways your series as much as mine. But apart from that guys, today we'll be taking a look at one of the most underrated divines in Tamriel, Mara. Before we take a look into just how powerful Mara is, it helps to take a look at her history in the Elder Scrolls lore. As a disclaimer, many sources of lore contradict one another, leaving it to Elder Scrolls historians such as myself to piece together the truth. The facts are presented as accurately as I can get them. Also, I will be sticking mostly to official canon sources. But I digress. Mara is one of the oldest divines to exist today. She is known often as the Mother Goddess and has dominion over love, parenthood, marriage, fertility, and the harvest. Mara took part in the creation of Mundus and, like any other Aedra, was tricked by Lorkhan into giving up some of her power. This is an important point to remember as we are dealing with how powerful she is. Unfortunately, exactly what power she, or any of the other divines for that matter, gave up is not specified. However, it is generally accepted that they gave up enough of their power so that they are not able to physically materialize on Nirn, unlike the Daedra. Evidence shows that they can still influence Mundus, however. For the purposes of this series, this is the version of events that we will consider to be accurate. Keep this in mind for all future videos. Now we can get down to proving that Mara could be the most powerful divine of them all. We'll start by going back to the very beginning. At the dawn of the universe, there were 2 forces, Anu and Padme. They each created a soul for themselves, Anuiel and Sithis, respectively. Their interplay created what is known as the Orbis, which is essentially a fancy word for the universe. This is the birth of the concept of creation, referred to as Nir, the root word of Nirn. Several sources indicate that Mara is quote-unquote associated with Nir. She is also sometimes referred to as Anuiad. Anuiad is the concept centered around the idea that creation itself, before Nirn or any of the planes of oblivion were made, had one single birth mother. According to multiple sources, Mara is that birth mother. That's some next level. Let's step back for a second and consider what this actually implies. As the birth mother of creation itself, Mara would, in theory, have infinite power over all creation. And that doesn't mean just Nirn or Mundus. The Daedric planes of oblivion were created. Aetherius, the entire Orbis, was created. With creation comes the idea of uncreation, if you will. This would give Mara infinite power over the Daedra and the Aedra, effectively making her the most powerful divine. Now, before we get too carried away, we must return and acknowledge a fact mentioned earlier. Mara did give up some of her power in the creation of Mundus, but as said before, the power of the Aedra in past Elder Scrolls games, as well as multiple Elder Scrolls sources, indicate that this amount of power isn't large enough to significantly decrease Mara's overall power. Another interesting point to bring up is that Mara is one of the few divines to appear in some form or another in every single pantheon across Tamriel. While this doesn't really convey more power, it certainly means that the idea of a birth mother of creation has had a very large influence on all the cultures on the continent. Another thing worth mentioning is a little-known fact that Mara does have dominion over the harvest. This means that she actually controls Tamriel's food source, and that is, of course, an immensely powerful thing to control. Without food, everybody on Tamriel will, of course, die. From Elf to Khajiit, everybody would be lost without food. So, how you interpret that is up to you, but that really does convey a fairly large amount of power within itself. A final piece of little-known lore that I'd like to bring your attention is the book Arkay the God, which is found in the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall. Arkay, who is the god of life and death, was once an ordinary shopkeeper who attempted to fully understand the concepts of life and death. Nearing unlocking the secrets of the endless cycle of ending and renewal, RK became ill with a plague that had been, for lack of a better word, plaguing the city in which he lived. So close to unlocking secrets of mortality, he prayed to Mara, the mother goddess, for enough time to complete his studies. Mara wisely asked RK what he would do with all the knowledge. He promises that he will use it to benefit his brother, and therefore she offers him the opportunity to become a god, but he would be forever forced to the task of keeping life and death in proper balance. Of course, he is now the RK that we know today. Not only does this show Mara's wisdom, but also that she has enough power to literally turn a mortal into a god. So those are just a few topics to consider, and I'm leaving most of them up to you to interpret. But to me, these show that Mara could be considered one of the most powerful divines, if not the most powerful divine of all of the 9. Mara is often written off as a lesser divine, and hopefully this video changed that for a few of you. Of course, this isn't about my opinion. The meat of this series is going to be your comments and discussion in the comment section below. Feel free to disagree with me once again. In fact, please do. This sort of discussion is what is really going to make this series. Anyway, thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to like and comment. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I've been Ethan from the Pixel Era Productions, and I will see you in another video.